Coming into this game, the New Jersey Devils were one of the hottest teams in the NHL as Montreal has lost back-to-back in embarrassing fashion. So predictably, the Habs wiped the floor with the Devils, including 3 goals from defensemen. I'm here to break that all down for you. Hello, bonjour, ahoy, and welcome to today's game reaction edition of Habs Digest. I'm your host, Josh Gosse. Quick reminder, before I get into the game recap, subscribe right now. We're on the road to 5,000. We've gained almost 100 subs over the last couple days, so hit that button if you haven't hit it yet. We'd really, really appreciate it. So guys, that was, on paper, this matchup, this stretch of games, Carolina, Toronto, New Jersey, this stretch of games is pegged to be, okay, Montreal's going to get smoked in a lot of these, and especially this one against the Devils. After losing 2 in a row to Carolina and Toronto, a lot of people were saying, hey, all right, Team Tank is back on the menu. Montreal's losing to these good teams, and they're losing badly, and there's no easy opponent in New Jersey. But Montreal goes in to New Jersey, and they strike early, and it felt like their pressure was constant. Justin Barron, not even 4 minutes into the game, continues the Habs trend of defensemen scoring goals at a ridiculous pace. Not even just scoring goals, but getting points off assists from Suzuki and Raphael Harvey-Pinard as that first line continues to streak, especially RHP. That guy is special, it sure seems like. Justin Barron coming in, fires the perfect shot past Vanacek to make it 1-0 for Montreal. And Montreal has, all of a sudden, these last few games started to score first in a majority of them since the All-Star break, which is something that we really haven't seen all year. So Montreal came out pressuring hard. There were constant chances. They were taking advantage of a lot of sloppy mistakes from New Jersey. And they were playing good defense, too. A lot of blocked shots. Montreal was just playing like a team possessed tonight, it felt like. Sure, the Devils looked a little sleepy. I'm going to give that to them. Like, they didn't look like they were at their best tonight. But Montreal capitalized, and that's what you're supposed to do, right? If the other team's looking lackadaisical, playing sloppy, making a lot of mistakes, you got to take advantage, and Montreal did exactly that. Sure, later in the first period, Jesper Bratt put an insane shot on the net, skated through the slot with a couple Habs in front of him, still managed to get off a rocket of a wrister right past Montembeault to tie it up before the end of the first, but Montreal's first period, especially that first line, Suzuki, Harvey-Pinard, and Anderson himself creating some amazing chances, grade A scoring chances in close constantly in this game for Anderson. Whoops, dropped the phone. But yeah, like that first period was pretty phenomenal for a Montreal team, like I said, that has been sort of on a losing streak, and the Devils, who are coming in, literally one of the hottest teams in the NHL, coming into this game in this last 13, I think it said, I don't know if I read that wrong, but I think it said that Vitek Vanacek in his last 13 was 12-0-1 with like a really, really good GAA and save percentage, but the Habs got to him. And not even just in the first period, but in the second period too. Again, not as early as the Justin Barron goal in the first. The Habs strike again in the second, and it's another right-handed shot defenseman. Jonathan Kovacevic, a guy, if you've been watching my game reactions, I've spoken very highly of Jonathan Kovacevic, but mostly for his defensive prowess. But today he stepped up on offense. Jesse Ullinen came down the right wing, hard stop, lost his defender, created a lot of space right in the slot. A couple Habs skated down the middle there, but it was Kovacevic who ended up fielding one of the passes, and he put it right past Vanacek in the perfect position to make it 2-1 Habs. And immediately after, I think just a couple minutes later, it's no one else other than the guy who needed the goal the most on Montreal right now, Nick Suzuki. Off a beautiful break, Nick Suzuki comes in and fires a bullet, reminiscent of that Jesper Bratt shot we saw in the first period from New Jersey. Suzuki fires a bullet past Vanacek to make it 3-1 for Montreal, and I think the shots at that point were something like 25-12, or it was a ridiculous shot differential in this game. I don't know what it was at the end of the game. I think it was like 40-20 or something along those lines. But Suzuki, finally, I mean, that first line was rolling. That was Suzuki's 13th multi-point game this season, which seems a little low for Suzuki, especially with his really hot start to the season. But hey, he's maybe starting to get back on track. He's really looked not himself these last few games. People, not even just last few games, last few weeks, people wondering if it's a nagging injury or what, but he looked really, really good tonight, and he got on the scoreboard in more ways than one. In that second period, though, Montreal really, really, really just played amazingly. They were stonewalling New Jersey, and there were some tweets that I saw coming out through the game, and one of them mentioned the fact that Montreal was doing a really good job, as they've done in a lot of games, to be fair. I feel like I've said this a lot, that Montreal is good at keeping teams to the outside. Montreal has a lot of muscle. Even if they don't have a ton of skill, they got hustle and muscle, the two key things that can make any game close in the right circumstances. And the Devils really don't have a ton of that muscle. They really weren't able to grind in front of the Montreal net. If anyone went in close, I saw Dawson Mercer in the third period. he had a nice breakaway. I'll get into actually. Well, it was Anderson on one end with a breakaway stoned by Vanacek, and now as we're saying that'll be a key save. Immediately, Dawson Mercer sprung on the other end. Newfoundland boy, love Dawson Mercer. But he did get into it a little bit with some Habs players as he poked at Montembeault after Monty had it covered up off the breakaway. He was a little frustrated that he didn't score, just doing a final poke. Kovacevic and Dvorak made sure he knew not to do that. But Montreal was being really physical. Like, the people on the Devils were getting near the net, Montreal was bullying them. And this is without the likes of Jack High, without the likes of Doc and Slavkovsky, and Edmondson. Montreal's still able to outmuscle a team like the Devils, who are extremely fast, extremely skilled, but maybe lack a bit of that grit that you might need, especially come playoff time. But yeah, that second period was nuts, and I'd be remiss if I didn't talk about Samuel Montembeault. Throughout this whole game, he was phenomenal. Making, I think he had 4 breakaway saves, maybe 4 this game, 3 or 4 breakaway saves. And your average goaltender's probably letting half of them in, and Monty let in 0 breakaway chances. He was just sensational. I don't know how many more adjectives I can think of off the top of my head, but he was able to really stifle any attempts that New Jersey had at coming back in this game, just because he would deflate their spirits. Right, Montreal was really getting outshot badly, but they were scoring on the opportunities that they were getting. And they were able to create some high-danger scoring chances, especially with the likes of that first line, especially Josh Anderson in particular. They were able to really create good, weird odd man rushes off of New Jersey turnovers, but scrums in front of the net. Not all of them turned into amazing chances. Vanacek was okay on a lot of them, but Montreal was doing what they needed to do to get the goals they needed to survive. But Montembeault on the other end was not letting in any easy goals. I don't think there was, New Jersey scored 2 goals tonight. One was a snipe from Jesper Bratt, who's at, 30 goals this season, something like that. He's playing out of his mind. And then you have another goal later in the third on a power play from Dawson Mercer off a scramble in front of the net when the puck is just kind of laying there off a rebound. Not really Montembeault's fault. Other than that, the other, 38 shots, 30-plus shots that he faced in this game, not a single easy chance was let in the net. He was in the right spot at the right time every single time, and he's continued to prove that, he might legitimately have that number 1A spot in the season going forward. Allen's been okay in his last few games, but Monty has just shown so many flashes of greatness that I have to talk about him. But yeah, Montreal's defense as a whole was really helping them too, even though they let in a lot of shots on net. They were blocking a lot of shots too. RV Pinard had a few, Savard had a few, so it was really cool to see that. And then in the third, it was kind of more of the same. It was a lot of Montreal pressure. I mean, at this point, they're up quite a bit, right? It's 3-1, and they're trying to keep the pressure up. Unfortunately, Mercer scored that goal, like I said, to make it 3-2. Or no, that was after, I think. Yeah, sorry, that was after. Montreal came in, and there was this play where it was, Dvorak, Pitlick, and I think Dadonov created the play. Dadonov to Dvorak, tic-tac-toe to Rem Pitlick. I don't think you could have drawn up a better play. It's exactly what you wanted on a slight odd man rush. And I will say Dadonov created a lot of chances of his own tonight. He looked really, really good, and he created that chance. And Rem Pitlick was able to finish it off with a beautiful one-timer right in his spot. The left-handed shot on the right side as he's going in transition. No chance for Vanacek. That made it 4-1. And it was after that Mercer got the power play goal off the scramble. But Monty was staying hot. The Devils were getting a lot of chances late in the third, right in the crease, and Monty was sharp. He was not letting the puck squeak by him at all. He was covering up when he needed to, clearing it away when he needed to. And to seal it off, right at the end of the game, well, not at the end of the game, I guess there was 4 or 5 minutes left. The Devils being down 3 decided to pull the goalie. And statistics show that it's a good idea to pull it a lot earlier rather than later. But what ends up happening is Montreal gets a clean win, and Mike Matheson from basically his own goal line fires at the full length of the ice for the empty netter to seal it, making it 3 goals from Montreal defensemen, 1 from Barron, 1 from Kovacevic, 1 from Mike Matheson, the other 2 goals coming from Suzuki and Rem Pitlick. If you were worried about depth scoring, this was your game to watch. Everyone on Montreal chipped in tonight. I don't think anyone had a particularly bad game. They took advantage of a New Jersey team that looked kind of lackadaisical, a team that for sure looked like they took this Montreal team for granted. And Montreal said, hey, you know what? Yeah, we're not going to win every game the rest of the way, but we want to prove that we can still play, and boy, did they ever. I thought it was a really cool performance to see that sort of hat trick of defensive goals, Suzuki getting back on track, Monty staying hot. It was just kind of a fun game. Yeah, I know in the long run, we won. The tankathon is going crazy. Who cares? Right? Montreal's going to win some games the rest of the way. They're not going to lose every single one. And I personally really enjoy when Montreal's able to score. And it's kind of fun to go watch Montreal beat a team like the Devils who is so hot, just like they did to the Oilers. And just kind of say, yeah, we can hang, but we're going to wait our turn in a couple of years when our prospects get better, and then we'll really show you what we got. But that'll do it for this game reaction edition of Habs Digest. If you enjoyed, leave a like, comment, subscribe to the channel. Help us hit 5,000 subs. We know you can help us out with it. I'm Josh Gosse. We'll catch you in the next one.